the lie beneath the vacation. It all began with a single Instagram notification. My sister had just posted on her story, and without thinking, I tapped on it. The moment the image appeared, my chest tightened. There they were. My entire family smiling brightly with their luggage. Ready to board a flight, the caption said. Family trip time TX planes. It was the same vacation my sister had told me had been postponed, because Dad supposedly had a work emergency. I stared at the screen in disbelief, feeling a cold wave of realization wash over me. They hadn't postponed anything. They had simply gone without me. I sat there, phone still in hand, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. Just 2 days ago, my sister's voice had sounded so genuine when she told me not to pack, because the Bahamas trip was on hold. I even canceled my weekend plans and took a day off from work, thinking we'd reschedule later. And yet there they all were. Mom with her sun hat, Dad holding coffee with his usual travel grin, my sister posing for the camera, and my younger brother already dressed for the beach. Everyone was there except me. The realization hit harder than I could have imagined. They didn't just forget about me. They deliberately excluded me. As I sat alone in my apartment, the memories of recent weeks began to make sense. The awkward silences at dinners, the whispers that stopped when I walked into the room, and the uneasy smiles. I had brushed them off before, but now they all seemed like clues I had ignored. The betrayal cut deep. This wasn't just about a vacation. It was about being lied to by the very people who were supposed to love me the most. But what had I done to deserve this? Then it hit me, the inheritance. When my grandmother passed away 2 months ago, she left her old Victorian house solely to me. Not divided among all the grandchildren. Just mine. The house was valuable, sitting on prime real estate, and my family had made their disapproval obvious. They hid it behind polite smiles and forced congratulations. But I had felt the tension. I offered to discuss selling it and splitting the money, but our lawyer advised against rushing. Maybe they thought I was being selfish, or maybe they just couldn't accept Grandma's choice. Either way, lying to me about a family trip was beyond cruel. The anger kept building inside me, until I decided I wouldn't just sit and sulk. If they could plan a trip behind my back, I could make my own plans too. The next day, I drove to Grandma's house. It was still exactly how she'd left it, clean, beautiful and full of memories. Normally, it brought me peace, but that day I saw it differently. This house was apparently worth lying and scheming over. So I decided to do something that would make them truly understand what they'd lost. I contacted real estate agents, gathered property evaluations, and learned that Grandma's house could easily be converted into a luxury short-term rental. The more I thought about it, the more perfect it seemed. They went on a vacation without me, so I'd turn this house into one. A vacation home they'd never stay in. I spent 2 days preparing everything, even hiring a professional photographer to take photos for documentation. Then the night my family returned home from their trip, I composed an email that would change everything. The revenge that rebuilt us. I waited until their flight landed, then pressed send. The email was short but powerful. I explained how I had discovered their lie, how their deception had changed my view of our family, and that I had decided to move forward with converting Grandma's house into a commercial rental. I attached valuation documents, photos, and the signed contract with a property management company. I ended the email by saying, I hope your vacation was everything you wanted. It helped me realize what I truly need moving forward. Within an hour, my phone started buzzing. Non-stop calls from my sister. Mom, Dad, even my brother, but I ignored them all. One by one, their voicemails filled up my inbox. My sister's voice sounded panicked. Dad's was angry and Mom's was full of guilt. The text messages followed, some defensive, some desperate. My sister finally admitted that the idea had come from Mom. She said she'd only lied to spare my feelings. That excuse almost made me laugh. Spare my feelings, they'd broken them instead. A few days later, my brother called and finally told me the full truth. Mom had convinced everyone that I'd become too entitled. After the inheritance, she told them it would be better if I didn't join the trip, so everyone could process their emotions. My sister volunteered to lie to me about the trip being canceled, thinking it was a kinder way to exclude me. It was absurd. They'd excluded me to avoid awkwardness about the inheritance, but their deception ended up creating far more damage than honesty ever would have. Over the next week, each family member tried to apologize in their own way. Dad lectured me about family loyalty and accused me of overreacting. Mom eventually admitted it was her idea and that she regretted it, though her guilt seemed to come more from the consequences than from true remorse. My sister showed up at my apartment in tears, confessing that jealousy had clouded her judgment and that she'd only wanted to avoid conflict. I listened, but I didn't make any promises about forgiveness. Trust doesn't rebuild overnight. 2 weeks later, the house renovation began. The property management company got to work, converting Grandma's home into a beautiful vacation rental. To my surprise, the project slowly brought the family together again. Mom started helping with decor ideas to preserve Grandma's style, and my sister offered to manage the online listings. Even my brother pitched in with repairs. The resentment began to fade, replaced by something resembling understanding. Now the house that once caused so much tension is becoming something positive, a tribute to Grandma's memory. That also reminds us of the consequences of deceit. We're even planning another family vacation next year, one that actually includes everyone this time. It's still awkward, and sometimes I still feel that sting when I remember those airport selfies. But I've learned something important. Sometimes the best revenge isn't anger or payback. It's turning betrayal into growth.